Justice Binta Nyako of the Federal High Court in Abuja has ordered the Senate to recall the suspended Kogi Central Senator, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. Hi, welcome to What's Happening. These are our top 10 stories countdown today. At number 10, the U.S. Supreme Court on Thursday gave the green light for the Donald Trump administration to deport a group of migrants stranded at an American military base in Djibouti to war-torn South Sudan. The decision by the conservative-dominated top court comes 10 days after it cleared the way for the Trump administration to deport migrants to countries that are not their own. At number 9, the funeral of the Liverpool forward Diego Jota and younger brother Andre Philippi have been scheduled for 10 a.m. on Saturday in Gondomar, a town near Porto in northern Portugal. Initially, local priest Father Jose Manuel Macedo has stated that the service would take place at 4 p.m. on Friday. However, the timing was changed to Saturday morning due to minor paperwork delays related to repatriation, as the family remained in Spain as of Thursday evening. At number 8, a high court sitting in Neni, Anambra State, presided over by Justice G.C. Anulude, has sentenced one Nonso Anobi to life imprisonment for his involvement in the case of conspiracy, armed robbery, kidnapping, and attempted murder. The defendant was charged with conspiracy, armed robbery, kidnapping, and attempted to murder contrary to Criminal Code Act and the Robbery and Firearm Act, alongside other relevant legislations. At number 7, Yaga Africa has raised concern over the recently issued supplementary guidelines by the Independent National Electoral Commission on the review of the election result declaration. On Thursday, INEC provided supplementary regulations and guidelines for the review of the election results as empowered by Section 65 of the Electoral Act 2022. However, the organization warned that certain provisions in the new guidelines risk undermining the reforms it seeks to enforce. At number 6, the Lagos State branch of the Nigerian Medical Association has strongly rejected the federal government's proposed salary structure for medical doctors, describing it as unjust, unprofessional, and a potential threat to the stability of Nigeria's already strained healthcare system. Speaking during the press briefing in Lagos on Friday, the NMA chairman Dr. Babajide Saheed warned that the proposal not only undermines clinical responsibility but also threatens the integrity of hospital leadership structures across the country. At number 5, founder of the Disciple of Jagaban, Comrade Abdul Hakim Adegoke Alawuje, has cautioned Nigerians against allowing those he called expired politicians to stage a comeback, warning that such a return would plunge the country into another era of failure. Alawuje, in a statement on Friday, accused some politicians of desperately trying to reclaim power by forging questionable alliances, even involving traditional rulers, with the sole aim of unseating President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2027. At number 4, the Chief of Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekere-Ekong, has approved the appointment of Babatunde Adejumo as the new administrator of the National Judicial Institute. Tobi Soniyi, Senior Special Assistant on Media to the CGN, said Adejumo's appointment takes effect from August 1st. Adejumo, a former president of the National Industrial Court of Nigeria, was endorsed by the NJI Board of Governors, chaired by Kekere-Ekong. At number 3, the Nigerian Medical Association has faulted the federal government's decision to deploy Nigerian doctors to St. Lucia and other Caribbean nations under a new technical manpower assistance agreement, describing it as inexcusable given the deteriorating working conditions and neglect of medical professionals at home. And at number 2, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Wike, has criticized ex-Transport Minister Rotimi Amaechi over his alliance with the opposition coalition to unseat President Bola Tinubu in the 2027 elections. Interestingly, Amaechi and Wike have a common history as former governors of Rivers State in Nigeria's oil-rich Niger Delta area. Amaechi was governor from May 2007 to May 2015, and he handed over to Wike, who was the saddle for 8 years. At number 1, Justice Binta Nyako of the Federal High Court in Abuja has ordered the Senate to recall the suspended Kogi Central Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. Describing judgment, Justice Nyako described an excessive, the 6-month suspension that was imposed on the lawmaker by the Senate. The judge faulted the provision in Chapter 8 of the Senate Standing Rule, as well as Section 14 of the Legislative House's Power and Privileges Act, declaring both to be overreaching. That's all for today. See you next time on What's Happening.